Jai Shri Ram. So today we will begin with Canto 35. Ravan calls on Marich once more. Hearing that nerve-wracking report of Surpanakha, nay, determining his duty and granting leave to disperse to his ministers, Ravan forthwith departed from his palace, so it is said. Pursuing that object in mind and viewing it properly, nay, fully weighing the merits and demerits of the question and ascertaining his own strength and weaknesses, and finally making up his mind to launch on that undertaking of abducting Sita positively, Ravan, with a resolute mind, next proceeded to his charming carriage shed. So the tradition goes. Covertly reaching the carriage shed, Ravan, the ruler of ogres, commanded the charioteer in the following words: "Let my chariot be got ready." Commanded thus, the charioteer, who took quick strides, got fully ready in a trice, an excellent chariot liked by him. Mounting the golden car decked with jewels, which could go wherever one liked, and was drawn by mules with heads resembling those of fiends, adorned with ornaments of gold, and the glorious Ravan, a younger half-brother of Kuber, the lord of riches and the suzerain lord of ogres, drove in that chariot which made a sound like thunder towards the ocean, the lord of river and streams. Having taken a seat in that chariot which could go wherever one liked, the 10-headed Ravan, the suzerain ruler of ogres, the avowed enemy of gods and the slayer of the foremost among ascetics, who was being fanned with white whisk and had a white canopy spread over him, who shone brightly like a glossy cat-eyed gem and was adorned with ornaments of refined gold, and who was distinguished by 10 necks and 20 arms and an attractive paraphernalia, and looked like a great mountain with 10 peaks, cast his splendor like a cloud in the sky, encircled with lightning and accompanied by a flock of herons. The mighty ogre moved on, surveying the sea coast, crested with mountains and crowded with trees, thousands in numbers, bearing varieties of flowers and fruits. The coastline was adorned on all sides with lotus ponds, full of cool and auspicious water, and with spacious grounds of hermitages scattered with sacrificial altars. It looked more charming with its plantain groves, and was embellished with coconut, sal, palmyra and tamala trees, as also with other trees in full blossom. It was graced with foremost rishis, seers of Vedic mantras, living on an exceedingly restricted diet. Nagas, a species of semi-divine being, having the head of and trunk of a human being and the lower extremities of a serpent. Suparnas, a class of birds alike being of semi-divine character. Gandharvas and Kinnaras, another species of semi-divine beings having a human figure with the head of a horse in thousands. The coastline was further graced by the presence of Siddhas, who had subdued their passion, and Karanas, as well as by the mind-born sons of Brahma, the creator. Khanas, an order of ascetics born of Brahma's nails and endowed with mystic power of assuming many forms. Masas, another class of ascetics. Khilyas, a special order of ascetics born of the hair of Brahma and possessing the size of a human thumb. And Marisipas, another order of ascetics living on the sun's rays alone. It was thronged in thousands with celestial nymphs, adorned with heavenly jewels and garlands, and endowed with ethereal forms, and conversant with the technique of amorous sports and sexual enjoyment. Again, it was resorted to and visited by graceful consorts of heavenly beings, and frequented by hosts of gods and demons, subsisting on nectar, a drink of heavenly beings. The coastline was crowded with swans, herons, and frogs, and graced with cranes. It was strewn with Vaiduria like stones of dark hue, and was alluvial, cool due to softening influence of the ocean. Driving at full speed through the air, Ravan, the younger half brother of Kuber, the lord of riches, beheld on all sides spacious aerial cars of whitish color, festooned with celestial wreaths and enlivened by both instrumental and vocal music, belonging to those who had won the higher worlds by virtue of their austerities and coursing according to one's will, and also beheld Gandharvas and celestial nymphs. Nay, he proceeded further, beholding delightful forest pleasing to the olfactory senses of sandal trees, whose roots exuded a sap in the form of resin, and also surveying forests of excellent aguru trees and groves of fragrant takola trees of superior quality and laden with fruits. Also the flowers of tamala trees and the shrubs of pepper, nay, heaps of pearls getting dried up on the shore rocks, as also heaps of excellent coral, and similarly peaks of golds as well as of silver, charming crystal and wonderful caskets, as also cities provided with wealth and food grains, crowded with jewels of womanhood and thick with elephants, horses, and chariots. He saw on the shore of the ocean a level piece of ground, smooth on every side, fanned by breezes which were soft to touch and delightful as heaven. He then saw a banyan tree looking like a cloud and resorted to on all sides by ascetics, whose prominent branches extended up to 100 yojnas, 800 miles all round. It was above of this tree that Garuda, the king of birds and the carrier of Lord Vishnu, who was possessed of extraordinary might, flew, taking in his claws an elephant and a gigantic tortoise for his repast. With his enormous weight, the very mighty Garuda, the foremost of birds, forthwith broke all of a sudden the bough which was thick with leaves. There, under that tree, were assembled foremost rishis, seers of Vedic mantras belonging to the categories of Vaikhanasas, Masas, Valakhilyas, Marichipas, and Dhumras, who inhaled smoke while remaining suspended from the boughs of the trees, head downwards, carrying with speed that broken bough 100 yojnas long, and also the elephant and the tortoise, both in one claw, and eating up their flesh in the air itself, nay, destroying with the boughs the territory of the Nishads who lived by hunting and fishery, etc., and delivering the eminent ascetic Garuda, the foremost of birds, whose mind was set on righteousness, derived excessive joy beyond comparison. Finding his prowess redoubted by that excessive joy, the talented Garuda, for his part, actually made up his mind to fetch nectar from heaven. Crushing the iron lattice work and demolishing the excellent jewelled safe kept protected by that lattice work, he then secretly bore away the nectar from the palace of the mighty Indra. Ravana, a younger half-brother of Kuber, beheld that banyan tree, Subhadra by name, resorted to by hosts of eminent rishis, the seers of Vedic mantras, and which retained a vestige of the havoc in the shape of destruction of a gigantic bough wrought by Garuda. Reaching that other shore of the ocean, the lord of rivers, Ravan, beheld a hermitage in a lonely, holy, and charming part of the forest. There he saw an ogre, Marich by the name, clad in a black antelope skin and wearing a coil of matted locks and living on a restricted diet. Meeting that ogre with due ceremony, the said King Ravan was entertained by Marich with all luxuries unknown to man. Entertaining him personally with food and water, Marich spoke to him in the following meaningful words: I hope, O King, all is well in your Lanka, O ruler of ogres. With what object have you called here so quickly again? Questioned in these words by Marich, the celebrated Ravan, who was invested with extraordinary glory and was a master of expression, then replied as follows. Thus ends Canto 35 in the Aranyakand of the glorious Ramayana of Valmiki, the work of a rishi and the oldest epic. Jai Shri Ram. So the next part of the dialogue is in the next chapter, which I will read tomorrow.